It may be about 30 weeks away, but it's never too early to talk about the NBA Draft. The 2022 NBA Draft is set to take place on June 23, 2022, and while teams are focused on the season at hand right now, some teams' attention is already shifting towards where they will be drafting. Some teams enter the season with high championship aspirations, but for others, a new season presents them with new challenges of player development. With that, let's get into the top 3 teams to land the number 1 overall pick in the 2022 NBA Draft. At number 1, the Detroit Pistons. Coming off back-to-back 20-win seasons, the Detroit Pistons enter the 2021-2022 season with one goal in mind: continue to develop their young talents. The Pistons are one of the youngest teams in the NBA right now, with an average age of about 24 years old, and their longest tenured player is Killian Hayes, who was drafted 7th overall last year. The turnover this Detroit Pistons roster has seen over the years has been quite dramatic, and GM Troy Weaver is finally looking to get this organization back on the right path to success. Jeremy Grant and Kelly Olynyk are really solid, experienced building blocks for this franchise, but their roster is highlighted by first-round picks Killian Hayes, Saddiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, and this year's number 1 overall pick, Cade Cunningham. With only 5 guys on their roster having 5+ years of experience in the NBA, not much success should be expected from the group this season, but this doesn't mean that Detroit can't be a competitive team. Last year, they were a pretty decent defensive team, but really struggled to score on the offensive end of the floor. Finding ways to get everyone involved on offense and figure out who can be long-term building blocks is going to be a challenge for Detroit this year, which is why we shouldn't expect much immediately. With a head coach that has proven to win games and make the playoffs before in Dwayne Casey, as well as some really talented players like Cunningham, Bey, and Stewart, the future is definitely bright for the Pistons, but they're still a long ways away from being anything special in the Eastern Conference. The top 5 pick in 2021 NBA Draft is in their immediate future, which is good news seeing as the Thunder currently hold on to their 2022 first-round pick with top 16 protection on it. At number 2, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Back in 2018, the Thunder traded their 2022 first-round pick to the Atlanta Hawks in a trade that allowed them to acquire Dennis Schroeder. The Thunder do not currently own their first-round pick in this year's draft, but is lottery protected, and Oklahoma City is definitely going to finish with the worst record in the Western Conference this year. Having an average age of under 23 years old, the Thunder are the youngest team in the NBA right now. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is their young leader in the backcourt, and he's surrounded by some promising-looking talents. Darius Bazley, Lou Dort, Josh Giddey, and others make up a very intriguing-looking and dynamic group of young players who all look to take a big step up this season. With the second worst point differential this season at negative 13.2, expectations for the Thunder are not high, but much like the Pistons, they're focusing on the development of their youthful core. Oh, and GM Sam Presti seems to have a thing for draft picks, as Oklahoma City has a total of 35 of them through the 2028 NBA Draft. With enough draft picks to create 2 expansion teams over the next several years, the Oklahoma City Thunder have a lot of options on how to build their team for the future, which is why it's a great time to be a fan of theirs. Sure, you may have to sit back and watch your team lose a lot over the next 2 years, but by 2023, this Thunder team is going to be a force in the Western Conference. Ending up with the number 1 overall pick in the 2022 NBA Draft, along with a handful of other picks next offseason, is the best thing that could happen to one of the most promising looking young teams in the NBA. At number 3, the Orlando Magic. Moving on from Steve Clifford and hiring Jamal Mosley to be their new head coach, the Orlando Magic are headed into a new era. While they've made the playoffs twice in recent years, the Magic are going to be a bottom-tier team in the league this season. However, they are definitely a tough team to play because all the athleticism that they have on their roster and some of the length that they possess. Mo Bamba and Wendell Carter Jr. make up a young, lengthy front court in Orlando, and with plenty of athletic guards in Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony, RJ Hampton, and even Markelle Fultz when he returns from injury, there's a lot to like about the future of this franchise. Owning to their first-round pick in 2022, as well as 2 second-round picks, the Magic will have a great opportunity to obtain the number 1 pick in the draft next offseason, especially since they're not projected to win more than 25 games this year. While they are rebuilding, and they traded away 3 of their top talents last year at the trade deadline in Nikola Vucevic, Aaron Gordon, and Evan Fournier, this Orlando Magic team is way ahead of schedule compared to most rebuilding teams because they have a solidified core. Suggs, Anthony, Fultz, Bamba, Carter Jr., and even Jonathan Isaac make up an athletic and young group of players that can all take on many roles for this team. Unfortunately for the Magic and all their fans, it just takes time for these guys to all play together and develop chemistry amongst each other. Next year, the Orlando Magic definitely have a chance to be a surprising team in the Eastern Conference, assuming that they can all stay healthy, but expectations should be low for this group this season. The Orlando Magic will be competitive and pick up some nice upset wins here and there, but overall, we should expect nothing more than a 25-57 season from this group, leading them to be in contention for the #1 overall pick in the 2022 NBA Draft. Do you guys think that these teams all have bright futures ahead of them? What do you think are some potential moves that they can make in this offseason to boost them up to contention status? Let us know in the comments section down below. Well guys, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to Top NBA, and hit that notification bell so that you never miss a video. We'll see you guys next time.